My name's James, and this is my review on Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish. This is the third studio album released from the alt-pop sensation, almost 3 years after the critically acclaimed Happier Than Ever. Now, to be completely honest, on my first maybe 2 or 3 listen-throughs of the album, I really wasn't convinced. I really left each listen through feeling very underwhelmed. You know, there's some amazing production, some amazing sounds, and some amazing builds and drops in dynamics throughout many of the songs, but more particularly throughout the entire album. But the songs themselves were just really underwhelming for me. There's obviously some great lyrical themes, but for someone like me, a 29-year-old male from a small town in Australia, I just wasn't able to connect with the lyrical ideas and the themes until I reframed my thought process. I think I entered listening to this album from a standard pop album point of view, that, you know, there was going to be a bunch of really good singles that really stood out, and then there would be some filler in between that were maybe sort of more niche tracks that the super diehard fans would really understand and be able to sink their teeth into. But once I started looking at the album as an entire work of art from front to back, that throughout most of the songs sort of had these connecting dots, these points of interest that kind of connect a lot of the songs throughout, particularly the lyrical themes, but also within some of the melodic themes as well. That's when I really had an aha moment, and from that point on, I was able to dive much deeper into this album and really start to enjoy it. As I mentioned, the production on this album is really as you would expect coming from the O'Connell siblings. You know, it really is truly beautiful production. However, there definitely are moments where some of the mixes do feel a little bit flat and underwhelming. Unlike the aforementioned Happier Than Ever, Finneas didn't mix this album, yet opted to have a small team of mix engineers take on the task this time around. And I wonder if that's where some of the Finneas sort of secret sauce is missing, and why there are moments that sonically sound a little flat, like in Birds of a Feather, for instance. There's incredible attention to detail in the choice of instrumentation, and particularly the tonal quality and the voicing of the instrumentation, and the way that they've been recorded and mixed to serve as this emotional bedrock for Billie's vocal to sit on top of and deliver those final ingredients of the lyrical themes and instantly recognizable soft delivery. But I do think that the string arrangements bring some of the most memorable and standout instrumental moments. Billie's vocal performance is instantly recognizable, yet there definitely are moments like in Birds of a Feather or The Greatest or L'amour de ma vie where Billie moves away from that typical soft, airy delivery or the spoken delivery that she's really well known for, particularly in The Greatest, where there's that big vocal moment that just keeps growing and growing in intensity and really caps the song off perfectly. Lyrically, the album seems to focus around obsessive love and control. This either being framed around these diary entry like introspective moments like in Wildflower and L'amour de ma vie, or a more metaphorical narrative storytelling approach like in Lunch or The Diner. Because these two lyrical styles are being used, there are moments where the lines get blurred and you're left wondering if Billie is being literal or not. Some lyrics that stood out to me were The internet is hungry for the meanest kind of funny and somebody's gotta feed it from Skinny. And that whole first verse in Blue that references each of the previous songs on the album, which was such an unexpected and delightful moment. Overall, the songwriting is really quite good, particularly later in the album, and most specifically on The Greatest. Even though these songs are some of the more simplest, they just seem to work really well, or they add in these little interesting turn of events like in L'amour de ma vie. However, I do think there are some songs that are very typical alt pop, like Chihiro for instance, and others that become a bit bloated from the instrumentation. I think the addition of real string instruments with their own arrangements and themes is a really clear indication of the influence that writing songs for film has left on the songwriting duo of Finneas and Billy. And throughout the album, there's these really nice connecting transition moments, like from Bittersweet into Blue, and the motifs that we get from the string sections throughout the entire album. Some standout tracks for me are definitely The Greatest. This song, to me, just feels like the heart and soul of the entire album. And of course, Blue. You know, it's just this big, epic track that ties the whole album together and ends leaving you in this dark but beautiful scene and a potential hint at what's going to come next. Now, when it comes to Billy's previous works, I've been more of a singles kind of guy rather than a full album fan. So when looking back and comparing this album to some of the previous releases, I think there's something here for the casual Billy fans to really enjoy, but I also think there's a huge amount for the die-hard fans to really, really sink their teeth into. I'm going to rate this album a light 6 to a decent 7 out of 10. But what are your guys' thoughts? And what should I review next? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, check out one of these videos, and you'll catch me in the next one.